Hello, thank you for taking the time to sit down.
Oh,
With
sorry.
me.
I made
Yeah.
my first mistake already. My phone is still vibrating.
Oh, how dare you? No.
It's okay. We'll
yeah.
leave it in as a
Yeah.
testament to my
Leave it
shame.
in. Exactly. Yeah. This is, and we'll just talk about phones. I think the entire time.
Yeah,
Or
phones, sound settings, vibration, all that good stuff.
yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, I there are things that I'm like I can default to. Like I know that you like Disney parks, so if
Yes.
need be, but I am also just curious, like especially during these times, what sort of takes up a lot of your. I mean, if you have free time, what takes up your free time these days?
I feel like on one hand, like I definitely have free time because it's like, well, I know I'm not filling every hour with just working on videos. But then when I think about what I've done in a day, it really is just kind of working on videos.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess my friend and I sometimes, well, now weekly, we will drive to like a parking lot and then get curbside food and park next to each other and just like sync up a podcast to listen to while we eat. So that's
Damn.
socializing right now.
That sounds pretty nice, actually.
It
Okay.
is nice, yeah.
What podcasts are you listening to these days?
It's Frenemies. She got me hooked on Frenemies. She's a huge
Frenemies.
Trisha Paytas fan, and I wasn't
I'm
really
not.
familiar
I'm
with
not
either
familiar.
person on there. Yeah, it's
Frenemies.
just two people with like very different personalities, but they kind of vibe really well. And there's always some
Oh.
kind of internet drama because I think they're both friends with like every famous vlogger. So
I
yeah,
see.
she knows a
I
lot more
see.
about it than I do, but I'm hooked now.
So if just general vibe I'm getting from this is YouTube drama discussion, or is it
Yeah,
just
it's
whatever
just
they
like a
want to talk about?
YouTube meta podcast. It's like two people who are separately really famous on YouTube, and now they're just friends with each other, I guess. Well, they're frenemies.
I see. I see. Well, works out because I was thinking YouTube drama would be the topic I'd bring up exclusively for this episode. No.
Oh, good. Yeah, we can
I
talk about all the people I have beef with. So many
Exactly.
creators.
Sure. No, it's always interesting. I like sort of starting out asking people because it's everyone processes the situation differently, but it also gives me a good sense like that's a dope idea actually. Syncing up a podcast. So do you like I assume just you're on the phone or something while do you discuss the podcast together like
Yeah,
what's
I think
the
that's why I like Frenemies for it so much is that it is like it's a very unedited podcast. So there's a lot of like awkward pauses where they're not really doing much. And then whenever there's like a lull, we'll kind of like tune in when we're interested. And then when we're not, I'll be like, so what's the deal with work? Because she's still working in person with other humans. So I get to kind of
okay.
ask her if there's any drama with that and live vicariously through her seeing people. So
Sure. How long have you been doing the whole YouTube game for? Are you? I assume like full time, right?
yeah.
Or
And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
at
yeah.
this point it's been like 5 years or something, which feels like a really long time. But yeah, I think it was like around 2016 that it really caught on.
And not to be the same same boring ass questions I'm sure you usually get, but how did you fall into it? Just an accident or
Yeah, I had other channels like with friends that had been successful, and none of us were really actively working on anything together. So I had my own channel that had like 1,000 subscribers that I had never really used for anything before.
Yeah.
And I just started kind of making fun videos to post to like my Tumblr or to show my friends on Facebook. And then one of them put it on Reddit and it got a lot of views. And then my subscriber count kind of jumped up. And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess I should make videos with more effort. And then it kept climbing. And I was like, okay, I guess I make YouTube videos by myself.
That and you said 2016. That's actually I
Yeah.
think around very similar time when my channel took off.
Really? Because
was
didn't you
2016.
start on Vine and stuff like that? Because you do all
I
those
actually
short skits.
I actually started on my first audience was on Tumblr actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't know, but it was a voice acting Tumblr, and I started doing shit posts on there and built up an audience there, and that led to Vine, and that led to YouTube. I had a YouTube channel the whole time, but it didn't take off until around 2016. Actually, like I've said this story on the podcast before, but Christmas Eve, I believe, of 2016.
Are a lot of people active online on Christmas Eve?
It was fucking weird because it was just like I was visiting my parents and then I just noticed, oh, hey, people are subscribing a lot, huh? And I was like, oh, they're really subscribing. And it just, it felt like a Christmas miracle. And it just sort of took off from there. I don't know, when do you remember in 2016 when yours took off?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I was actually at Disneyland with a couple of my friends. And I think my first video that got shared on Reddit, it was by an old friend from high school that I hadn't talked to in years. He just is like an avid Redditor. So he shared it on there thinking that it would like catch on. So it got like 100,000 views. And then the next video I posted, people that had seen the previous one were like, oh, I can get karma if I share this one. And then that one ended up on the front page and got to like 1 million views. And so that was all happening while I was just at Disneyland hanging out with some of my friends. So I was just looking on my phone like, oh my God, the views are like really high. And I remember my friend Chelsea was just saying as it was happening, like, you're going to be a YouTuber now. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. But it's wild. People
what were you doing before then?
I was working at Disneyland, so that's why I was there with my friends. I would sign them in for free, and we were doing, a little fun day there.
What did you do at Disneyland, if you don't mind me asking?
I worked there for about 3 years total. It feels way longer, but so I had 2 different jobs. I did one for like 1.5 years, and then one for an almost equal amount of time. So when I hired in, I worked with the horses and the animals. They call the department Circle D because that's the name of their secret ranch that's backstage. And so we took care of the horses that work on Main Street and then all the animals at the petting zoo. So like a miniature donkey, a miniature cow, a turkey at that time, and a lot of goats. So that was really fun. And then they built Star Wars Land and they got rid of the petting zoo, which was my favorite work location. So I transferred to guest relations, which is like the complaints department and also tours.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about, I mean, inevitably we have to talk about Disneyland because I love talking about Disneyland. But, I did not actually know that you worked there. That's awesome.
I had always wanted to. And then I finished college. I got a 4-year degree. I got a bachelor's degree. And then I wasn't sure what I wanted to do next, but I'd always kind of wanted to work at Disneyland and like see everything behind the scenes. And I was like, well, if I don't do it now, then like when will I do it? So I was just doing it kind of short term and I wasn't sure what I would do after. And then it ended up being YouTube.
And were you always a Disneyland fanatic before working there?
Yeah, I grew up in like the Bay Area, so I didn't go that often. I wasn't like a local kid that got to go every weekend. Sure. But for a lot of summers when I was a kid, my family would take family trips to Disneyland. And then when I was at home, I got into like, there's this site called Yesterland that talks about extinct attractions and kind of what became of them, what they built on top of them. And so I think that's what really started my interest in it, was thinking about the behind the scenes aspect and like old defunct rides and kind of the mystique of those. And so then I started looking at more and more fan sites and just got really into the idea of like behind the scenes theme park stuff, all the minutia of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's so interesting. Like, I know a lot of people, a lot of friends who are also like that, and I never thought I would be one of those like Disneyland. I would say I'm like not on the casual. I'm not like hardcore. I know all the Disneyland like minutia and history or whatever. Like, but I just love the parks. And that's something I never saw myself doing, but. When we moved here and I was like, oh, you can get an annual pass at Disneyland. I was like, well,
I was gonna ask if you were an AP until they got rid of it last month.
Yeah, we definitely were. I'm curious to see what will roll out.
I think they'll bring back something like an AP. I think maybe it'll be more limited, but I'm not worried.
They're definitely gonna still cater to that market.
Yeah, because it's such a locally driven park. Like it's a small park. It doesn't get as many international visitors as Florida, so I think it'll be fine.
Oh yeah. Do you remember what you were doing or writing, or what were you doing when you saw? Oh shit! YouTube's taking off. Do you remember the exact moment?
I do. I vividly remember we were eating upstairs at Tortilla Joe's, my favorite restaurant in downtown Disney. And it was like we were the only ones upstairs. I never get seated upstairs. So it was just this weird empty restaurant vibe. And I was checking my phone and I was like, oh. I feel like everything with my YouTube has happened like at Disneyland too. Because I remember my first video, the one that got like 100,000 views, that was around my birthday. And my mom was visiting for my birthday. So we went into the park and we were like sitting at the exit of Splash Mountain. And this dad had gotten off the ride and was like, I saw you on YouTube. And I was like, oh, seriously? And he was like, your life's going to change, kid. And like, it was like, again, like just weirdly prophetic statements from other people.
Did he talk in a fort like, your life's going to change, kid?
Yeah, like an old-timey carnival barker.
Right. Damn, okay. So because I recall seeing your videos pop up in the recommended algorithm really favored you, and I started seeing you pop up, and I was like, okay, yeah, who is this? And then your shit's really funny. And so I forget exactly when that was around, but I assume the algorithm has been kind to you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm very grateful to the robot algorithm. I think it's been really good. My videos don't really trend anymore, but I think that makes sense from what I understand of the algorithm. Yeah. And it seems like they get sidebarred to people. I've had a lot of people on Twitter complain that like if they watch one video by me, their whole sidebar is just other videos by me. And I guess that's just because people tend to watch them till the end, and they're long. So I think that's what the algorithm likes about them. But yeah, it definitely seems like it favors me, so that's good. I hope it doesn't change.
Oh, I mean, like, it seems like like you said, like you in the beginning you kind of trend a lot, right? Because they're like, who the fuck is this, right? What's this channel? And then once you lay a strong enough foundation, like it's like
I'd actually have wanted to do like a whole video on just what I've noticed about the algorithm and how it works, because I think people have this like really scared idea of the algorithm and how it's like out to get you and whatever. I remember like Shane Dawson did a podcast once when he was still active, complaining about how like YouTube hates me because I never trend. And it's like, well, you never trend because even though you get a lot of views, that amount of views is standard for what your channel gets. So it doesn't peak as unusual activity because you have a lot of subscribers and you always get a lot of views. So if you get 2 million views, that's not as unusual as a tiny channel getting 200,000 views.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think it's pretty balanced the way the algorithm works. I've got no complaints about it.
I don't know if I feel it's completely balanced, but I agree with you.
No,
like,
maybe not completely balanced.
I would, no, but I agree with. I can't complain too much because I think I'm also treated pretty well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your videos, and it definitely seems like you also get sidebarred like crazy. Because again, people get in a rabbit hole of watching your videos. Like it works, and that's why YouTube keeps doing it. Yeah, no, it's
oh god, now I'm talking about YouTube numbers, but just it's interesting because for my channel, I don't know if you don't have to talk about your analytics or whatever, but for mine, like more people watch my stuff non-subscribers than subscribers.
Really?
It's an interesting ratio for me. I don't know. Do you look at any of that stuff or?
I don't. I'll just look at like what, like, am I earning money? Which usually the answer is no. But yeah, I don't go into the minutia. I've seen other people post screenshots of their analytics where it's like YouTube will say like you got 20% less views this month, and it's like I don't want to see that.
Oh god, okay, no, yeah, that's just depressed. That's a rabbit hole.
So
of
depression.
Yeah,
I have sometimes I'll look at like my age and gender breakdown. And like when I started, it was like all men, like all 18 to 30-year-old men. And then I switched up my topics more, and now it's pretty equal. So that's good.
No, I don't like look at the analytics obsessively, but I do know, and I would be curious what your percentages are. But I believe it's like I want to say 60% of my views are non-subscribers and 40% are subscribers.
I mean, I could check right now. I could.
Yeah, if you want.
Conflict. Yeah. I've never really looked at the subscribers versus non-subscribers. I feel like with anyone, it must be a lot of non-subscribers because I think a lot of people just don't really subscribe to people that they watch.
First off, a lot of people don't subscribe, and then they don't necessarily watch. Well, sometimes they just sub and then they just kind of leave it, vacant, right? Which is fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, let me look. Where is this shit?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out subscription status.
Yeah,
Here we are.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it looks like 43% of my views are from people who aren't subscribed. So,
So
on the off chance that anyone who watches me and isn't subscribed then went and found a podcast that I'm talking on, shame on you. You should be subbing.
So 40% not subscribed, 60% subscribed?
Mine, well, it's weird. They don't... Okay, no, they do equal 100%. Yeah, 43%, 43.1% not subscribed, 56.9% are subscribed.
See, that sounds healthy to me. That means your base, at least is watching a good amount. Me, I'm like, oh boy, I hope I still stay in people's fucking sidebars.
That's true. So you're saying a lot of your subs aren't seeing it at all?
Oh no. I think it's just that I don't know if it's like the algorithm just really pushes my shit on sidebars or whatever, but yeah, it's a 60% of people are not subscribed. I think just discovering it, or I mean, to be fair, I don't necessarily. There are some channels I don't subscribe to, but I will just go to like every now and then and just
me
watch
too. Like I'm really bad about subscribing, which feels hypocritical as someone that does YouTube and wants to have a big shiny number of subscribers. But yeah,
Sure.
I feel like I'll have to watch like 8 videos by a channel before I realize I should just subscribe.
I'm also the same. I'm pretty picky about it because I actually really, okay, God, I'm sorry we're talking so much about YouTube. I don't know if you like talking about YouTube or not. I promise you this is not something I usually talk about.
I actually like talking about YouTube. I feel like a lot of people do YouTube and don't talk about it so much, so I think it's interesting to hear what people are noticing.
Yeah, it's interesting talking to other YouTube people like about it because it's such a strange profession, right? Where a lot of people just can't really relate to how strange and unpredictable it is. And so it's kind of nice to talk to someone who's like, oh yeah, we're in the same weird boat that could sink at any time. But
yeah,
I think a lot of people don't know that you can manage your I have my subscription feed bookmarked like right directly to the thing where it's in chronological order. I don't know if you do that.
Oh, I don't do that. I don't even use that tab. I'm bad. I look at my home page and it's like, oh, it's 10 videos based on the video I last watched. Great.
Majority of people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, people listen to this podcast right now. There's a subscription button. If you click that, you can see all your subscription videos in chronological order. You'll never miss. People are always like, I missed this video. Though? I'm like, oh boy, there's a whole and it's not anyone's fault. Obviously, everyone's just gonna click on the homepage, right? Click on the homepage and click on stuff. But I'm just letting you people out there know it's there, and or just check in on your local friendly neighborhood YouTube channel and see what you missed. But what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else. Yeah, besides that feed, I lost my fucking train of thought. I don't know, but
you can just add it out the pause.
The ratio.
If you thought of it.
Okay, yeah, no, the ratio is very interesting to sort of look at, and yeah, it's YouTube, I suppose.
I guess I should look at my analytics more. There's probably like useful information there, but I'm just like,
I honestly, like, because I don't look at anything. I just noticed that once, and that ratio has not really changed that much for me. So
I feel like too, like a lot of the stuff that YouTube tells you in the analytics tab is stuff that I guess you could like stress over if you knew it, but like what else could you do other than stress about it? Like the subscriber thing, I guess you could do like a call to action, but I don't do those. I feel like, and I don't think you do those in any of your videos either. You never end like subscribe or whatever.
No, do you?
No.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like everyone knows like, I know
from what I've seen, you don't.
Yeah, because it's not like people. It's not their first time ever watching a YouTube video. They know there's a subscribe button. I'm sure they'll think of it if they want to.
Yeah, to my disadvantage, I am very old fashioned. So I just, ironically, despite me talking about YouTube and analytics this whole time, I even if I did look at the analytics, I just post whatever the fuck I want. So it to my detriment, honestly. Like if I really wanted to, I could, I'm sure, post only videos that are like gonna do well and blah 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 blah. But I also love board games, so I'm gonna do board game reviews that nobody gives a shit about. But you know, for me, I give a shit about it. So it's like a one for me, one for them kind of thing.
I think that's better though, because I think it's easy to get just pigeonholed. So it's good to keep doing stuff you're actually interested in.
Absolutely, yeah. It's some, you know, a lot of people suffer from burnout, and for me, the rule, you know, I think what also helps is, you know, kind of like you, I assume that this was an accident, right? This just happened, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think either of us was planning on this. And so for me, it's like, I'll just ride this out, this happy accident, for as long as I'm allowed. But I might as well enjoy it and not stress out about it, because, you know, I see a lot of big channels. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I don't subscribe to some channels if they upload too much too often.
Because of the way you look at your stuff.
Yeah, because I like to see chronologically what's coming out and that sort of thing. And so if something is like posting, like, you know, I don't know, like, this might be an exaggeration, but like 5 some videos a day, it's like, I don't need to see all this, and it clogs up my feed. I will just go to the channel every now and then, and just check in on them. And on a similar sort of, going back to what I was talking about before, I notice a lot of big channels, they're like stressing out about, like, oh, I gotta make sure I pump out the stuff that people want, like, that's popular, and I gotta do it at a crazy rate, and I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
and like, I definitely, that's another thing I would want to talk about if I did like a video on the algorithm, because I feel like there's a big misconception about that. Like, it is true that the faster you put out videos, the faster your channel will grow. Like, it's just the case that putting out a new video is how you get the fastest number of new subscribers. But on the other hand, if a lot of people will like have content that's like high effort, that takes time, and then they'll think, well, at this rate it's going to be a month between videos, so I have to put something out in between. And then they'll just put little videos that are like live reactions to a TV show, or Q&As or things like that. And from what I've seen, that can actually be really harmful to your channel, because if you put out videos in the middle, like, a lot of your subscribers might see a Let's Play or something come up and be like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to watch that. I'm still interested in this channel. I'm just not going to watch until they come out with their new proper video. But if you're basically training the algorithm that you put out a video and this number of your subscribers didn't want to see that video. So if that happens enough times, it will stop showing those videos on the homepage to your subscribers, because the algorithm has learned that they're not interested in your channel anymore. So even though it is good to grow your channel by posting frequently, if you're posting a lot of content people aren't watching, you are going to hurt it in the long run.
No, that's great advice, which I don't follow. Like, I
Really?
I just post whatever the fuck I want. But I actually really admire a lot of
people watch what you post, though.
Yeah, it works out somehow. Like, I'm very just sort of throw all caution to, I just do whatever. Like, it's fine. If you watch, I have this, like, almost, I don't want to say adversarial, but this sort of, hey, here's a video. You like it? Great. You don't like it? Great. That's fine. Like, I had fun. And, you know, my channel is weird in that some videos will, like, support other ones, right? Like, I'm like, this one will do really well. And so I can put out other ones and not get too hurt by it. I was going to say, though, I do admire a lot of the high effort channels out there who really sort of refine and, you know, make like, these are the videos only. And I think that also helps, because it makes it, like you said, you're going to want to watch all of them, right? If you look at a channel and go, oh, this is a clearly well curated, like, selection of high quality content, then I'm going to want to go through and watch all of it. And, you know, I look at your channel, it's very similar vibe. My channel is the opposite. My channel is just like, just whatever the fuck, but I guess that works for some people, but
I wonder also how the algorithm looks at, like, your main videos tend to be like short skits.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'll post like longer videos, like food reviews and stuff like that.
Right.
So I wonder what effect that has. I don't know if you've noticed any trend in that. Because I feel like if I was the robot, I'd be like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I take in this information? Sometimes people are watching 25-minute videos, and sometimes they're watching 30-second videos.
I think the robot has just been like, I guess people will just watch this guy sometimes, regardless of the length. And I don't understand. So it's like, I know exactly how, like, you know, and some people will comment and appreciate, like, the approach. They're like, oh, no, okay, no, a lot of people really don't like the approach. So some people will be like, wow, this guy will just post whatever he wants. That's refreshing. And other people go, wow, this fucking guy will post whatever he wants. Post more skits. Like, you know, it's that sort of weird, like, you know, opposing viewpoints on it. And none of it matters to me because it's not going to change how I do things. But I guess it's, again, I don't want to say adversarial, but it is almost me being dragged by YouTube of like it wanting me to do it a certain way, and I'm going, no, I'm still acting like it's 2012, baby. Like I'm still, you know, I don't even do, and this is like when people hear this, you go, what's wrong with you? I've never done a custom thumbnail for a single video I've ever done.
You don't even look through and like find a moment that looks like it sums up the video or whatever?
No joke, what I do, and this is what I've done since 2006. It generates 3 thumbnails for you. I picked the one I like the best of the 3.
Oh my god.
Yup. That is, I know, it's such foolishness. It's such absolute foolishness because thumbnails work. There's a reason why people do thumbnails, and I don't care.
Oh my god.
But it's worked out for me. So
I guess sometimes the ones it picks are like, you know, it picks them algorithmically. It looks for frames where you're in motion or you're looking at the camera and stuff like that.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
It seeks variety. I don't think it used to. I think in probably like 2010 YouTube, it was just totally random. It was like by where they were in the video.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Now you can tell by the ones it recommends that like, oh, your hand came up. It thinks that's an interesting frame. Or like you showed a card on the screen, so that's an interesting frame.
Yes. So it works out. Like they will usually get a thumbnail that is kind of like what you would expect. But I don't know. I just don't care enough to go through and I hope this doesn't come across to listeners as like I'm like, oh, I'm bragging on how much, oh, I'm so cool. No. It's stupid to do this. Like it's just pure laziness on my part, but
I mean, it works.
It could. It's so. I don't know. Did you?
You're
ever...
like, no, it hurts my channel. I do it anyway.
Oh no, I'm sure it does. I just don't want to. Like, it would be interesting if I was like, okay, for a month, I'm gonna do all the thumbnails you expect. Not like. Well, okay, I don't want to throw shade on channels that do like crazy face over that's fine, but
yeah,
even if it were somewhere in the middle, I would be curious what the numbers would be like if I did do that for like a month and how that would affect things. But
or do the thing where you add big yellow text over
or circle something like a random red circle,
the arrow in the circle.
But I know deep down I would hate myself, so I just can't. I don't. It
does feel really weird, like posing for a thumbnail, because I used to just like look for a frame where I was making some kind of like emphatic expression or whatever I thought conveyed it. But then that was annoying, so then it was like, well, I should just record something for the thumbnail. So, like, for the Vampire Diaries one, I wanted it to look like that Always Sunny meme where he's, like, got his conspiracy board.
Yeah.
So, I just separately recorded a video clip of, like, gesticulating at the board that I could pull a thumbnail from. But then I was thinking, like, man, I hope no one ever sees this footage of me just silently gesticulating at a board for 2 minutes.
That's actually very cool to, like, hear that that's how you did that. Like, I've never really asked people, like, because I think what really works with, your thumbnails is they still feel very organic. Like, they don't look like I just cannot stand ones that are like, whoa! And like, just, them using the same face over and over again. Yours look like they could just be in the video.
Some of them are. Especially older ones. They were all from the video. But yeah, now I usually will just, I'll start a video recording because I can't do the whole, pause for a freeze frame. I think it feels really unnatural. So I'll just do a video recording, and then sometimes I'll just, I'll gesticulate at a prop or something, or sometimes I'll even just repeat a sentence from the video, but think about emoting with my face, and then I'll be like, okay, now I'm speaking, and now it works.
That's really interesting, actually. Okay, yeah,
and then I burn the footage when I'm done.
It's like you're explaining to grandpa. Oh, that's what you do to be successful. Okay. Yeah, no, I never thought about it that way. And I think that works in your favor because, it does feel, it's not just one of those. I see some thumbnails and I'm just like, I guess kids must like thumbnails.
Yeah, you mean the ones where they snip themselves out and then there's a primary color background.
Yeah, primary color background, just busy, just them going, whoa, and then just loud, just a lot. If I see a thumbnail like that, I will never click this. I will die before I click this. And
then you put Spider-Man in the corner, and then you put a lol surprise mystery egg in the other corner, and then the kids love it. They eat it up.
I guess so. But I think for me, also as a rule of thumb for me, as even just sort of as my online, if I'm gonna have to be online for a job or whatever, then. You have to take me at face. You have to take me as I am. I do not want to put on a persona of and so, and I've talked about this on the podcast, but sometimes someone will run into me, and let's say they've only seen the skits, and they're expecting a very high energy person, and it's you're not. No, this is I'm just me. This is who I am. And I think the podcast has been good to kind of get people a more. Also, if you just watch any of my other videos, I think you'll get a sense of who I am or whatever. Because I find being performative in a false way, it really rubs me the wrong way, and I try my best to be as honest as I can. If I'm gonna present myself online, and I think people do. I think that's partially how why, despite all my other stupid things I do, no thumbnails and stuff, I think that's what people latch on to. That's what I'm told by people, so I guess that somehow works out, but I don't know.
I mean, that's good, I think. I feel like it would be kind of a nightmare if you were sketch comedy guy in person. I guess some people are like that, where it's they're always on, but I think that's kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, they are my worst nightmare. Now, I apologize that I talked about YouTube for so long, but I do actually like to give the guest a chance to. Is there any topic you would like to bring up, or a question for me, or anything that you want to bring up? If not, don't worry about it. But I do like to give the guest an opportunity.
No.
No,
I can't think of any interesting topics. No.
Then let's jump.
I mean, right now my whole brain is Beanie Babies because I'm doing a Beanie Baby video, but that's all for the video, obviously.
Let's talk about that first because I'm actually kind of curious, and then I'll jump.
Do you collect Beanie Babies? Are you a Beanie Baby stan?
No. I as a kid, a little bit, but even then.
You're bonkers for Bean Babes.
I'm sorry. What was that?
You're bonkers for Bean Babes. That's what they all say. No, that's what I say.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna start saying that, I think, but
yeah, that's how they express. That's like a code phrase. You walk up to someone and say, "Are you bonkers for Bean Babes?" And then they say a coded phrase back. I can't tell you what it is because it's only for people
who are bonkers for Bean Babes. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess before I go, because I have a very casual appreciation of it. For my background in I'm basic for Bean Babes, where I, as a kid, had a couple. Like, I was not an avid collector, and in fact, I think I owned more of the McDonald's the teeny beanie, or what are
the teeny beanies.
The teeny beanies. Yes, I had more of those, I think. Although I did have a couple. Once Beanie Babies fell out of favor, I did get some from like garage sales and stuff, but I was not the person who had like a ton of them. I think one of my favorite ones was, in terms of the real ones, was I had that kangaroo. Do you know the name of it?
Oh yeah, pouches. I think.
I'll take your word for it. Just the regular.
And she had a little baby, and he was just a little
head,
wedge.
right? Yeah, that one. That was.
I have her. She's on my desk right now. She's now in my hand. I'll rattle her for the microphone.
Is that a good tier Beanie Baby then? I guess if it's on your desk.
I just honestly went on eBay and got a big sack of Beanie Babies. Like, they arrived in a grocery sack inside the box, which was a cool feeling. Like, just texturally, it's nice to pick up a weighty grocery sack full of Beanie Babies.
Oh, shit.
But they were a lot of, I want to say, year 4 Beanie Babies, which were pretty common, but those were all the ones I had as a kid. So they were a lot of Beanie Babies I consider top tier.
How, like, when you were a kid, how bonkers for Beanie Babies were you?
I would say, well, in my research, I've discovered not that bonkers at all. But at the time, I thought we were pretty into it. Like, my mom would take my sister and I, and we would line up outside, like, a little boutique because they didn't carry them at big box stores. That was part of the craze. So, yeah, we went to a little children's clothing boutique that got the Beanie Babies. We would, like, go in the mornings and line up to get them. Yeah. And I remember trying really hard to get all the teeny beanies, and we might have succeeded. So I felt like we were pretty hardcore, but now I've learned that there were conventions and all that. Yeah. So, in fact, we were kind of basic, and we didn't have any rare ones. We did start in the craze. Again, I felt at the time like we were in on the ground floor, but it turns out we started collecting around the time everyone else did. So all of our beanies were pretty common.
I see. What was your favorite teeny beanie?
My favorite, probably the same as my favorite big beanie, which was, I loved Quackers. But now as an adult, I've realized that my favorite is Allie the alligator, because I just really like petting him.
Quackers is the yellow duck? Am I remembering?
Yeah, he's iconic.
He's a great yellow duck. One. Yes,
everyone remembers Quackers. He's an icon. He's practically the mascot.
My favorite, I believe this was a teeny beanie. There's a blue lizard with a
Lizzie, yeah.
Oh God, you know these very well. Okay, yeah.
Lizzie, yeah. I've been living beanies.
Lizzie, I did not remember the name. Oh my God!
Fun fact:
that's right.
Lizzie was tie-dye first.
Oh shit!
So that was one of the really rare beanies, was tie-dye Lizzie. But everyone had blue Lizzie, including us. We had blue Lizzie.
I had the teeny beanie of this, and I loved this lizard. This was absolutely my favorite of the little ones, for sure.
The teeny beanies were so good though, because like that's really quality for a McDonald's toy to have like a little plush.
Exactly, like I was totally happy with them as a kid. Like, and I also, I understood. Like, oh yes, you need to preserve, or I didn't care, but I know for collectors you preserve the tags or whatever. But for me as a kid, just play value, yeah, they're just smaller versions, but they're still really good quality. It's actually kind of insane to me to think about like that those were in like, because those were just like Happy Meals, right?
Yeah.
That's nuts. That you, I wonder what would get me to like buy Happy Meals at that level of veracity. I will say, before I dive into a different topic, are you like besides being bonkers for Bean Babes, are you a collector? Do you collect a lot of things?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I love collecting way too much. My main collection is I love old My Little Ponies, but I also have a lot of BB-8s from when the Star Wars trilogy was happening. I have a lot of Porgs, and just a lot of old stuff from when I was a kid, like all my old Pokemon toys and a lot of video game stuff.
Yeah, I'm also. If I get into something, I get very dangerously into collecting stuff. For me, it's I have just an absolutely obnoxiously large board game collection that takes up way too much space. Anime figures. What else is there? Like, I got back into Pokemon cards for a bit, kind of fell off of that, but I don't know, did you ever get into Pokemon cards?
I was huge into Pokemon in general, but yeah, we love the Pokemon cards. I never got the coveted shiny Charizard card, tragically. I think you can get them for like $10 on eBay now, so maybe I should just live my childhood dream.
Not to get super annoying nerd right now, but are we talking the original Charizard, like from basic set, or the literal shiny Charizard? I want it to look like the original. Because there is a shiny...
Well, I want this... Okay, no, there's one that's shiny all over, right?
Well, hold on. Are we talking about Shining Charizard from? No. Okay.
Oh no, like the one that's an alternate color. No, okay. The holographic
classic, the one everybody wanted as a kid.
I think if you want like a first edition, it is actually expensive, but I don't care about that. As long as it looks like the first edition, it can say it's third edition or whatever on the bottom.
Yeah. No, a couple years, I hear it's way more expensive now because
really, because this is the nostalgia cycle. It's the 20-year cycle.
Unfortunately, you know what it was is I believe one of those Paul brothers, those Pauls, those damn Pauls, I think got into it, and I was talking to another guest about this, and I guess it just went nuts. Like the market went. Because when I was collecting them, this was probably around... I mean, I was collecting them as a kid, but I got back into it on accident because I was at a con and I saw some cards like, I remember Pokemon cards. I'd given all of mine away to my brother, a long time ago. And I bought one or two and I was like, fuck, I remember why I gave these away, and immediately I was like, I could get more, right? I could get just a couple more. And then... what it ended up becoming was, how familiar are you with the sets, like Basic, Jungle, Fossil? Are you familiar with?
Not very familiar. No, I think I collected mainly in the first years. I do remember the Jungle set, but I think that was around when I stopped collecting.
I was like, well, I bought some cards, and I'm going to do what I always wanted as a kid and buy all of them from Basic to Neo, what is it? You don't know, but Neo Revelation. It's it's basically everything before Ruby Sapphire, because that was all the cards I think I stopped collecting around that time. So I went and I got all of them.
They're numbered, right? So do you just have them lined up in a binder of like card numbers?
I have them in a binder. Well, I used to have them in actual like order of numbers, and then I was like, no, I want all the holographic ones in the front. So I rearranged it so all the holographics are in the front, and then they're in numerical order. But and this actually, it sounds like insane, but it wasn't that hard to do when I was collecting, because you could just go to pawn shops. Like you could go to
like the places that sell baseball
card shops, pawn shops. I would just like go through boxes of them. And I don't have this one. I would bring a checklist because that's the kind of person I am. And it was actually really fun because, my wife and I would just go, hey, there's a pawn shop. I want to just stop by. And then I would just look through and be like, oh, shit, I found this one. Like, I don't have to buy it online. And then whatever I couldn't find, because there are some ones that are just, you're never going to find in a pawn shop. Then I would pay like a little bit, nothing like crazy expensive. But now, it's been like a huge resurgence. Like I think even the classic cards are way more expensive now. So I'm glad I got into it when I did. But
so is your collection complete, or do you still have a couple more that you need?
It's complete.
Wow.
Yeah. it's all the promos, but only up to. It's just gonna bother me. I know you're not gonna give a shit, but what is that set called? Neo Revelation.
The viewers need to know.
Neo Revelation. I have Basic up to that, and so that's all gold, silver. Because after that, I believe is Ruby Sapphire stuff, and at that point I'd fallen out of it as a kid. Although on top of that, I did start collecting some of the newer cards because they have these really nice, like. I don't know if you've seen these, like the full foil, like full art cards. Like they just look really nice. So I did start collecting booster packs And then eventually I stopped, and that's not something I need to revisit. I'm good with what I have. In fact, I
feel like once you complete the set, you've got to cut yourself off. Because then you're just going to be drowning in cards. They'll keep making more.
Yeah, you would think that. You would think I would have stopped, but it took a little bit afterwards. But to be fair, I wasn't going for completion after that New Revelations set. Like, I was like, I want these because I never could have had this as a kid. It was a lot of adulthood for me is like, you know, I have income. Oh, I can go buy things and not have my mom go, don't buy that. That's stupid. I can go buy that now.
And it's funny because there's stuff that feels like completely unreachable as a kid where you're like, oh, but on the secondary market, it's $50. And then like when you're grown up, you're like, oh, I could actually order that. Especially I feel like the stuff I collect, like the value of it is all relative. Like I collect old My Little Ponies, and of like American releases, I think the most expensive it can get is like $300, which is really expensive for a pony. Like I think the most I've ever spent on a single pony was like $60, and that was like my rarest one. But you know, like compared to other stuff you can collect, that's not very valuable.
In the grand scheme of collecting, $300 for like the most expensive, that's pretty good, actually.
It's really good. Yeah, it's not that rare at all. So yeah, the one I got for $60 is now worth $300 or $400 or something, and they only made a couple hundred of those, so it should be really rare. But I think that just is reflective of like how small the collector community is. And then another thing I'm really into collecting, like your vintage store story reminded me of that, is I'm trying to get all of the Give Yourself Goosebumps books, like the Choose Your Own Adventure ones. Yeah, my friend and I, like after college, we would just hang out at like a restaurant and kind of switch off. Every time there was a choice, we would switch readers while the other person ate. And we would navigate the books together, like we were going on a little adventure. And I think I maintained a list. So like every time I passed a used bookstore, I would go in and look. And at first, like every time I went in, they'd have 3 of them that I didn't have. And I think they published 50, no, it was like more than 50. I think like 65 or something like that. But I have like 90% of them. So now it's a matter of like getting the weird rare ones that I have to get on eBay. But there again, I think the expensive ones are like, oh, it's $30, which obviously I'd prefer the satisfaction of finding it at a vintage store, which is why my set isn't complete. But when you really look at it in perspective, you're like, oh, that is a very attainable collection.
That story made me go, and I was talking about this pretty recently with some friends. Did you ever read the Nintendo Adventure Choose Your Own Adventure books?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know they made Nintendo one. What, was it based on games?
It was based on Mario and Zelda.
I feel like I need to find these.
Oh, listen, me too. Because I feel like so they were Nintendo Adventure books. These were early '90s, and I owned.
Are you gonna tell me these are really rare and these are like $200 books?
They are more than you would. You know, I'm gonna look it up right now. How much is one of these books right now? Because I think it's like certain ones are maybe easier to get, but anyway, as I'm literally searching on eBay. My background with these books is, first off, they're great, and you like video. I assume you like Mario. I mean,
I do.
It would be worth it, I think, to maybe pick one of these up if you like to Choose Your Own Adventure and Mario, because they were just like really fun, charming books. I owned, I think, 4 of them. There were 12 books in this set.
Oh, wow. I thought you meant they made like 2, like one for each game.
No. There were, I think, mostly, there were 12 books in total. 10 of them are Mario, 2 of them are Zelda. I don't care about the Zelda. I like Zelda, but I don't care about the Zelda ones.
I watched my sister play Zelda, but I was intimidated by it as a kid, so I don't have as much nostalgia for that.
I'm looking at this now. These are. It's like you said, like, I can pay $27 for a book, but it just feels so.
Okay.
It feels so.
It does feel like a lot. Yeah. When you think about what it costs new.
$40 for like an old book. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, then I have to go, do I really, and part of me goes, you do really want these, but yeah, no, they were really fun. I owned the first 3 and I think the 11th book, and then the other ones, and those were just from garage sales or flea markets as a kid. And so I would look at, and I'm sure this was something that maybe happened to you, but if you look at, like, let's say you bought a book from a garage sale, and you look at, like, oh, look at the other books in the series.
Yeah, they would always have, like, the last 2 pages, a whole list of all the different ones.
And I would just covet. I would be like, I would kill for all the other Mario Nintendo Adventure books. And when I went on going on eBay, I'm like, that's what that cover looks like. Because a lot of them, they wouldn't even be, you would just see a list of the titles. And it just in my mind, I'm like, what does Doors to Doom look like? And then I looked at a cover, I'm like, oh, that's what that looks like. Oh, man. I might actually get these at some point.
You're going to buy it right now.
Real time. One of my friends was like, just Twitch stream a choose your own adventure book. I was like, fuck,
there you go. It's a business
expense right there. Expense. Not a bad idea.
So what's it called? It's called Nintendo
Adventure books. Yeah. Okay. They look. I'll link you in the Discord.
Oh, I'm going on eBay.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the first one right here. Okay. Double Trouble classic. King Bowser is duplicating people.
Oh my god.
The
covers are cute too. I was always a Yoshi stan. Are there any Yoshi centric adventures?
Oh well, I was just talking about this not that long ago. There's one I owned as a kid. It's kind of a weird one. Here, I'll show you the cover. Yoshi is featured, but it is...
One of them is called Pipe Down.
Ah, that's a great title. I never owned that one.
That's good. I want Koopa Capers. It's got ghosts on the cover.
I want it too. I want all of them, but...
Oh my god, this one's only $10 for 2 of them. I'm gonna bid. I hope no one outbids me.
It'll be me. I'll outbid you. So this weird Yoshi book, Unjust Desserts. I linked you a picture of it. The premise of... What do you think the premise of this by looking at the cover?
Okay, let me see. Oh, Yoshi's having a birthday party and they're having a great time.
And so the whole book is going to be them just having a birthday party, right? That's what you would think.
Yeah, maybe a misunderstanding where he thinks they forgot his birthday, but in fact they didn't.
You want to know what happens instead?
Yeah.
Okay. It starts as his birthday party. And why did this happen? I forget. But Mario and Luigi get real small. And then they go inside Yoshi's stomach. And the whole...
He eats them with his big tongue.
The whole book is them. It's like Bowser's Inside Story, but I guess they predicted Bowser's Inside Story. It's Yoshi's Inside Story. Like different regions of the stomach are like different levels or whatever.
Well, see, when I asked you, are there any Yoshi stories? I didn't mean, are there any stories where they're in his belly?
Yeah, you weren't asking for fucking Vori stories. Like you were asking for.
Can you recommend me any stories where Yoshi gobbles them up and they're in his tum tum?
Oh
my god, I can buy this book for only $120.
Wait, are you serious? Is that one?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Maybe I won't.
I can't wait to do this on stream. It's a business expense.
Oh my god. Well,
Here you go. I hope you enjoy buying that. It's a steal.
It's 120. Oh my god.
Well, it's $120.95, but the shipping is free.
Oh, that's good.
So it's actually a really good deal.
This is very just going on book. Actually, I can get down on this topic, like book series as a kid, and the more obscure, the better. If you can think, like for here, I'm going to start with one. This was a series I loved as a kid, and I don't know anyone who read this series. Did you ever read the Clue books?
No.
Oh, okay. So
were they for kids? Was it Clue?
Not
kids?
Clue Junior, like Clue with the classic, like
okay.
Miss Scarlet, like Colonel Mustard, like
yeah.
Oh, let me give you. Oh, so again, I was a very voracious reader as a kid. I loved reading. I would I would go to garage sales, just pick out books that were cool. And the Clue series was when I I can't believe I'm talking about this, but you know what? That's what this podcast is for me talking about shit that nobody cares about. But I think you might appreciate this. You're familiar with basic, Clue, the characters of Clue?
Yeah. The film, the board game,
right.
yeah.
So what Clue books were, and there were a lot of them. I think there were 18, it looks like. I owned quite a few of them, maybe like 12 of them. Did you ever read like Encyclopedia Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if Encyclopedia Brown, but instead of it's about 6 people, and every chapter they're literally trying to kill each other. Like, no, it was great. It was like, so it would be the main, like, Mr. Body, who in the original game is the murder victim.
He's the corpse.
But in the books, he was like the host of the book. He'd be like, "Oh, welcome to my manor," and then it would be like 10 cases, and they're very funny. They're very funny, but also very like dark and like twisted, because what it would be was each chapter would be like, "Oh, Mr. Body got a new, I don't know, like a sapphire," and then all the guests, like, they're his friends and they come hang out with him, but they're all terrible people who would murder each other on a whim to get rich. And so each chapter is like its own little story, and you would have to be like, okay, at the end, who killed Mr. Body? Because like they would be, the way it was written, it would be like a puzzle, almost like Encyclopedia Brown. And it would be like, okay, can you tell me by the end of this chapter who killed him, what weapon, what room? And that was the format for the end of each chapter. And then it would be like you would flip the page and it'd be like an upside down answer. And it'd be like, it was this person in this room with this. And then there'd be like a jokey, oh, it turns out they missed with the gun. It was like, and that's why.
So no gore.
Well, but the thing is, like, in the actual chapters, it'd be like, the figure plunged the knife into Mr. Body's chest. So like as a kid, I started reading these as a little kid. It was kind of intense. I was like, oh my god. But then in the answer, it'd be like, just kidding, Mr. Body had a book in his pocket, so like the knife was stuck in the book. But no, they would just be like, no, so and so shot somebody else with a revolver, or really, like, oh my god, am I gonna get into fucking collecting old children's books I read? But that's actually a series that I might, because I just loved them so much, and I don't know, they're I mean, it's a pretty,
I feel like they're not Mario. I feel like you could find those on eBay
probably
or vintage
for
shops.
pretty cheap.
I mean, if anyone could go to vintage shops right now.
But I mean, pretty good premise, right? Like it's very thematic.
Yeah.
Like,
it sounds so dense to write, though, having to think of that many different little capsule mysteries.
It was very clever how they would do it. Yeah, they would be like, a lot of the, like, not all of them, but some of them would take place at night. So it'd be like, it'd be a lot of logic puzzle stuff. Like, this figure stabbed Colonel Mustard. So it'd be like, okay, that means that person's not Colonel Mustard. And also the weapons would be, like, in a way where it's like, okay, the knife is left in, since the knife is stabbed in Colonel Mustard, that means the...
Oh, so you could do those, like, math puzzle things where you make a little
They literally
graph and
had in the back of each chapter the thing from the games of, like, you can cross out, like, okay, yeah. I mean, I never did it because I didn't want to, like, spoil the book, but
yeah, I was always confused. Like, Goosebumps would do that too. They'd be like, write down in pencil what items you have, and it's like, I'm not writing in my book.
Right. And so
it is cute now, though, because I'll find used copies, and sometimes the kids have written their, like, terrible guesses in the book. So
that's great.
Or, like, their name, like, age 7, and it's, like, nice.
Yeah, no, I do remember that from garage sale books as well. But yeah, no, it was those books were fucking dope, and like I just ate those up. Like, they were very fun. Now, so I guess the question I extend to you, what book series were there any, like, is there a book series that you loved as a kid but you just can't find anyone who's like heard of these books?
I guess it's not that obscure, but I really liked Fear Street, which I think might have even been out of print when I was a kid. But we got a lot of them at, like, library. It's like, it's supposed to be for people that have slightly outgrown Goosebumps, but I was reading them, like, concurrently. I guess they were gorier, so they were, like, a little scarier, but They're basically
weren't they
Goosebumps.
like teenage audience, right?
Yeah, they were teenagers, so there was a lot of like the characters would be trying to date and stuff like that. And actual murder would happen, unlike Goosebumps, where it's like, the jelly monster swallowed him up.
You know, you say that in that voice, but I was such a chicken as a kid. Well, first off, some of those covers are terrifying still.
They are. The covers are great.
Like the dummy one, there's the classic Say Cheese and Die. Like, that freaked me. As a kid, I was such a chicken.
This is a tangent, but the art in the classic Goosebumps books are so good. And you can actually, the guy who drew all of them has a website where you can buy prints of the covers with no text on them, or he will re-sketch the covers for you, and he'll like send you a hand-drawn sketch. So I actually got one for my friend Bailey for last Christmas, or for Hanukkah. Because
That's
she's
amazing.
super into Goosebumps, and I was like, what a cool idea to give someone. So I gave her the Say Cheese and Die, because it's iconic.
Classic. Yeah. That's classic. It's so funny with Goosebumps. Like, I was so scared of them because I was such a baby, and so I didn't even like looking at the covers as a kid. And then when I finally read one, I was like, these aren't scary at all. Like, I was like, this. I was just like, this is not scary, nearly as scary. It was very much like my imagination was so much worse, right?
Because they would usually try to get out. Although some of them had pretty dark endings.
Yeah.
Some of them,
like
the kids would all die.
Yeah, but even then, like, most of it is just kind of like, it's just your kind of typical, like, you know, for kids, like, suspense book.
Yeah.
But it's not actually like, I was just picturing like the most violent, grotesque. Like, I was like, it's gotta be like nightmarish, and no, they're just kind of cute and, you know, a little creepy.
Well, the one that traumatized me was the one where all the food turns to worms. Like, there's this kid that's cursed. All of his food has worms in it. And that just, like, it made me afraid to eat anything for, like, weeks. I was just so grossed out by it. That was, like, my biggest fear as a kid, was, like, finding bugs in my food.
Yeah, like, super, that sort of aesthetic of, like, super scary or super gross. That was also very big.
A lot of gross out. A lot of, like, slime and goo, things like that.
I hated that as a kid. I don't know about. Did you like that stuff as a kid?
Not really. No, I liked the ghost ones more. I loved the living dummy books because I thought living dolls were really, really scary.
Yeah, I remember like just gross out stickers. Like just
like the Garbage Pail Kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, I never got into Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah, I had such a sensitive, I guess I was just sensitive to gross things. Like, anything could put me off food or whatever. I would just overthink it a lot. So I would try to avoid anything gross.
Yeah, I think I was the same way. So I was not the target audience for that. Wow. We talked a lot about a lot of things I was not expecting to talk about, and I actually really like that. I thought we were gonna be. I was like, we can talk about Disneyland.
You're right. We didn't even really talk about Disneyland.
I do want to talk a little bit about Disneyland.
Okay.
Like, let's as we're kind of wrapping up. This is a lot of fun. Like, I
know.
did not. But I do want to know because obviously you're a big Disneyland fan. But when you go to Disneyland, what is your like typical day like? Like, are you a ride heavy, or are you what do you like to do on your average Disneyland day?
It totally depends who I'm there with, because, like, one of my claims to fame is, like, if I'm there with someone from out of town who just, like, wants to do everything, like, I can get someone on pretty much everything just by mapping out the day correctly. Like, okay, we gotta hit these rides first, because they run out of Fast Passes first, and then while we're waiting for Fast Passes, we'll eat, and just kind of, like, chart
I'm
out
that
the whole
guy,
thing.
too.
Tour guide mode. But then if I'm there with friends who are locals, like, we usually just kind of kick it. Like, we'll get food and go meet characters. I always like to ride Pirates because it tends to have a pretty, like, median wait time, like, 20 minutes or less. And it's just such a solid ride. Haunted Mansion and Pirates are, like, the best ones. My favorite ride is probably Splash Mountain, but that one's good at night when it doesn't have a line.
That's my favorite, too, Splash Mountain.
And they're changing it. They're changing it to Princess and the Frog.
How do you feel about that?
I think I like the idea of it. I'm worried that a lot of the rides in the past where they've taken a good ride and hastily rethemed it, they've done it badly. So, like they cut corners. They want to do it fast or they want to do it cheap. I think a Princess and the Frog ride, if they're willing to put a lot of money into it, could be incredible. And they wouldn't even have to change that much. But, like all the sets could be the same. They could reskin some of the characters or take their clothes off or whatever so they look more like Princess and the Frog animals. But, I don't know. I think it could be good, but having seen like the Frozen ride and stuff where the interiors are kind of barren, that makes me worried that they're going to take out a lot and not replace it with anything. But, I don't know. I like the idea of it. I hope they do a good job. I also will miss having the ride at all in the time it takes for them to do it. Because if they do a good job, they'll have to close it for like a year or longer. Right. So that'll be sad. But, I don't know. I'm excited to see a new ride.
Yeah, no, I think, it's my favorite ride as well. I'm like, I do love certain aspects of the original, just, the animatronics,
The music's really good. Yeah, I'm a huge really animatronic head.
Yeah, the music's really good. The animatronics are so charming. Just the whole, just, lead up to the drop is so good. But I also recognize, it's Song of the South. Yeah. Maybe we should, update this.
It's kind of incredible that it lasted this long and that it was built like not that long ago. They built it in the 80s, which is like when it had its last anniversary, my friends and I were talking like, it's a younger ride than we thought, considering it's based on Song of the South.
Yeah, it's a weird source material choice, but I'm with you in that I hope it's like really good because like you said, if they really go all out, it could be pretty spectacular. Like
if you look at the Beauty and the Beast ride that Tokyo has, they could have a really beautiful Tiana animatronic, and I don't know, like I love the animatronics first and foremost. So my ideal vision would be like adding some cool new set pieces and some new animatronics, and then leaving most of the animals. They really just have to take out Brer Fox, Brer Bear, and Brer Rabbit, and then they can leave all the happy geese and the frogs. Obviously the frogs.
I still want that like right before the drop to be creepy. So what, Dr. Facilier?
Here's what I picture. Yeah, I picture the laughing place scene could be a dark, like black light, creepy swamp with all of his like ghost minions and stuff.
That's exactly.
And then they could be playing the chanting part from Friends on the Other Side as you're going up the lift hill.
I think we should design this. They should ask us to do it.
They should hire me instead of legendary Imagineer Tony Baxter. I could do a much better job.
I am very curious to see what that's like, but. As for me, I'm also the tour guide, but I actually do like riding rides a lot. So we go with we have our group of we did annual pass holders. Yeah. In the old days, we had a group that hopefully will still, if there's some sort of system that is in place, we can get the equivalent. Whatever. But that group is very good about we can split up whenever we want, right? So me and a couple of people are more like, we want to ride something. Let's go ride something. Other people just want to chill or shop or, hang out. I'm usually I don't know. For me, I love rides and just being in Disneyland, unless there's a food festival. Rides are my priority. I'm always let's go ride this. Oh, the wait time's short on this. But Are
you like a thrill ride person or a dark ride person?
I love both, but I will say I do love a good thrill ride. I think the one of the best rides in California Adventure is the Cars ride, because it's best of both, right? It's amazing animatronics, but the ride is also so fun.
Yeah, it's really one of the best rides, on this coast.
Yeah. Have you been to...
it's about cars, so that's even better. My husband, Lightning McQueen, is the star.
Cars Land is pretty underrated.
I love Cars Land.
Those cones, have you had the pear soda?
Yes, the Doc Hudson's purple pear or whatever it is.
I believe it's actually Ramon's Pair of Dice.
You're right. Okay.
Soda.
Okay, now I look like a fake Cars Land fan.
Because it's Pair of Dice. It's 3 It's Paradise. It's pear of fruit, and it's Pair of Dice. Mm-hmm. They had the balls to do 3 fucking puns.
That's what's good about Cars Land. They go for it. They go above and beyond.
And they have those like cone, like the mac and cheese.
Yeah, the mac and cheese cone. They have the flavored popcorn, which is really good.
Mm-hmm. They also have their version of. Are you familiar with? Who am I talking? You know, of course you are. LeFou's Brew from Disney World. Of
course, yeah, the apple stuff.
I love that, and they have like what's like Red's something version apple cider or something. And I forget what it's called, but yeah, no, they have that in the Cars land as well.
So, are you a Florida fan too?
Disney World? Not as diehard, just because of accessibility, right? Like because I live here, I can go to Disneyland. I'm actually okay. You know what? Let's just talk a little more about Disneyland because now I'm on this. I'm on this train. My objective is, and I'm curious if you've done this, is to do everything in both parks. Like ride everything, do everything.
In a single visit?
No. I'm talking about just general checklist. Have you done this? Have you done literally everything in both parks?
I think I have. Yeah, I think I have.
For me,
I don't know. There must be one exception.
Okay, because for me, but you haven't actively like sat down and like kept track.
No, I've never looked at it, but I'd be so surprised if there was something I hadn't done.
No, you probably have. So for me, there's two that are like there's only two left. One is Rise of the Resistance because I
it's
couldn't.
So good.
Oh, I hear it. Yeah, I hear it's so good, but we couldn't get into it, and then
yeah,
COVID.
It's hard. They had that lottery system. See, here's the thing: they've gotten rid of annual passes, so if they were able to limit the APs that go every single day, I feel like the lottery would become a lot easier to get on that ride.
That's true. And then the other one is. Do you have a guess? What do you think is a ride that I cannot?
I'm guessing it's gonna be one of those weird ones like jellyfish jumpers or something.
No, I've done that one.
People just don't bother. Okay.
I'll give you two more guesses. What's one that
Whirlwind of Emotions from Inside Out?
I've done that one. Before you give your final guess, it's one that's just like actually a pain in the ass. Like people are like, I don't want to do that.
Oh, it's tough to be a bug.
That's no longer there. But
okay, but it was until recently.
the Tom Sawyer canoes.
Oh, those are fun. What?
No one will do them with me.
They are hard to get on though because they close at sundown and Sundays they're not open at all. So you gotta be, you have to go in the summer and you have to go before dinner time. But they're fun. You get to see some of the sights up close.
That is. I only have like one. There's like one or two friends that are like, I'll do it. So I'm like, okay. I think at some point I just have to make a trip out there to that's our first thing we're doing.
Just for the canoes.
Is the canoes, and then we can do whatever. I mean, it's funny. Like there was a friend of mine. I was like, I haven't ridden the Halloween Guardians ride. Anyone want to ride?
Oh, that one's really fun.
It was so good. But someone's like, yeah, I'll go, and I was like, want to go? Like tomorrow, and then we just went like very much on a whim because I really wanted to go before it closed, which I think was it was like about to close. I was like, we have to go tomorrow. And she was like,
see, that's what I'll miss about the annual passes if they do have a new, more limited system. Because part of me is like, the AP was expensive. If they totally get rid of it, I could just get tickets to go a couple times a year. But then I feel like that means every time you go, it has to be a full day and you have to get the most out of it. But I did love the annual pass. You could just go in for dinner and do a couple rides. And I used to do that all the time.
I think they're definitely going to have like the equivalent, like something, because there's no way they're gonna lose that. My theory is that this is either
an excuse to rebrand and just get rid of the cheaper passes without the bad press that comes with saying we're getting rid of the cheap passes.
Yeah,
it's them doing that. It's very underhanded. But my other conspiracy theory is that they're going to bring it back, but every pass will be a flex pass where you have to pre-book the dates you're gonna go, and I think that would be fine. I feel like I used to go kind of impulsively, but I can imagine that all my friends I used to go with, we could just agree on a day a week beforehand and book to go.
For flex passes, how much in advance do you have to do that? Like,
I can't remember. Like they introduced it right after I quit, so I never had to learn it, which was really nice.
Okay.
I heard it's a huge pain as far as like refunds and stuff go.
I see.
Comp tickets and stuff. But I believe it it was all based on how popular it was. Like, you could book up until enough Flex Passes had booked that the spots were full. And because the Flex Pass was such a new pass, a lot of people didn't have it. So what I heard was that of the people who did get it, it was actually a really good deal because it was very easy to book any days that you wanted. But obviously, if they had kept it around more years and it had become more popular, it might have become really difficult. But I think a lot of people, it was just like they would do it the night before.
Oh, that's not bad at all. No, I mean...
Yeah, but now if everyone's Flex Pass, I'm sure that'll change, and it'll be a little more competitive.
I see. I would actually be fine with either, because, one, I don't... My schedule does not allow for these days, like, let's just go today. Like, no. Yeah. It's like, hey, guys, are we all ready to go this Friday? Like, can we arrange it? So that wouldn't be that bad. And
I feel like part of it for me is like a lot of my friends I met when I worked there and they still work there, and a lot of them still live around Anaheim. So I would very often be in Anaheim just like hanging out with people, and then I would be like, oh, let's just go into the park. I heard it's not that crowded. So yeah, now I'll be parking in a parking lot listening to podcasts in Anaheim, but not going to Disneyland.
And then the other alternative of like, let's say we get a pricier one. The only plus side to that to me is like, if that means less, like in terms of crowds, right? If it's more annoying to get an annual pass, I don't like prohibiting people from getting rid of cheaper ones, but it's like, I guess if it's like only if you're like desperate for an annual pass, then I guess that's not a bad thing.
I feel like that might be what they end up doing, which is sad because like, I don't know. There's already so many people in Orange County that like work in careers that support the parks but can't afford to go. Right. You know, people that work at like the motels on Harbor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I think, a bad look for the company, but I also would be super unsurprised if they did that.
To me, it seems like the cynical person means like that seems like that's probably what they're gonna do, right? Yeah, more expensive.
I think so. And I think that they'll try to get around the bad press that would come with just canceling the two cheapest ones by being like, well, no, we got rid of the whole program and just happened to introduce a new program with a new name that looks the same but without the cheapest options.
But
it's totally a new program.
And they'll offer probably some alternative that's shittier than the AP. But
I would even be happy. I think I was saying on Twitter, like, I think there is definitely a problem of annual pass holders who just go like every day, like a lot of teenagers who just go every day after school, like rich kids, and also a lot of retirees that go every day. And it does really impact crowding, especially with things like people trying to get on Rise of the Resistance and stuff when these people are doing it every day.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good solution if they had something like, have blockout days or whatever, have new annual passes, but maybe just have it so there's no pass that can get you in more than 30 times a year. Because like, who on this earth needs to go more than 30 times a year?
That's very true. Yeah.
And I feel like if I had 30 times a year, I would still just go in impulsively for dinner sometimes because I would be thinking, well, I'm not going to use 30 of these, so it's fine.
Yeah, 30 would be more than enough. Yeah, like...
Yeah. So I feel like that's a good balance. That's a lot of days, so you're still getting a savings versus a day ticket, but it's not enough days that you're going to be really impacting the crowding situation.
That's actually a really smart... I hope it's that. Yeah, I don't...
Me too.
I'm not going every day. I'm going maybe...
And then, they could have cheaper ones that are like 10 times a year that I'm sure a lot of families would be satisfied with.
Yeah, because for me, it's really, like you said before, it's the feeling of like, I don't have to rush, right? Like, I don't... Like, I'm not paying full price every single time to just, like, hang out. It's like, okay, I'm paying this much to get in these parks. It's going to be get there bright and early.
Exactly.
And I love, and what's kind of allowed me to really fall in love with the parks is like, hey, you know what? Let's ride the stupid jellyfish thing just to see what it's like. And I'll check it off my list.
Yeah, and, like, watching all the live entertainment and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like, that friend I mentioned where I was like, let's go to the Halloween Guardians. I was like, hey, can we check out some stuff off my list? And one of those was like Turtle Talk with Crush. I was like, nobody will ever go to this with me.
Yeah.
But I have to check it off the list. And I thought it was very cute. And I was like, I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I enjoyed this. Like, but
do you do the drawing one where you draw characters?
I have not done that. I don't know.
It's fun. Like, especially if you get a more complex character where you can, like, really tell you're messing up.
Okay. Oh, God. Do I count that? For me, it's been like
You have to count it. It's an attraction.
God damn it. All right. Okay, fine. I guess
I guess there are 3 things you have to
don't say that to me during COVID. Of all, like, oh.
Yeah, what if the park closes? What if they go broke and they close?
Oh, God. That's my nightmare. But, shit. Okay. I guess I have 3 things then, but something to look forward to, I suppose, when it's safe to go.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I've had a very good time talking about completely random shit, but
I'm glad Choose Your Own Adventure books came up. I feel like that's one I don't talk about so much.
Yeah, and I brought up Clue books, which I don't think I've talked about in fucking years. So now, where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube at Jenny Nicholson at YouTube. And that's the best place.
Cool.
It's where all my good stuff is.
Check out her shit. Very funny stuff. But yeah, again, thanks for sitting down, and we should talk again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I should go to Disneyland with your group if it ever reopens.
Yo, let's fucking do it. Let's go to Disneyland. Absolutely. I'm always looking for more people to go to Disneyland with. Let's do it.
Same.